And we are live. Now, you may notice that I've started it at the title screen, and that's because, well, something a bit unusual happened while I was doing stuff off screen. I posted about what I did exactly. I said that I was not allowed to, go to any new areas in terms of the story while I did off-screen stuff. And I kept to that rule, but the thing is, something funny happened when I got the Porygon. I was using the wiki for reference on this, and it said that you got it as a gift from Bill. Also, I assumed I just had to speak to him. Turns out there was an entire dungeon that you had to go through in order to get it. And oddly enough, even though there were what was kind of wild Porygons, you could not catch any of them. I mean, I guess it's fair since you would want to, stop people from getting more than one. For free. But still. Just us making sure everything's working so far, since I've had a bit of stuff so far on every stream so far, and so far this has actually been really well. Anyways, that egg hatched. I've been keeping it in my party just because, yeah, the date thing is still weird. But anyways, I've been keeping it because I don't want it to, lose friendship. I'm trying to figure out if I want to... No, oh yeah. No, wait. I'm pretty sure that there is a Poke Center right before Rock Tunnel. I did do a few battles on this route, but technically I did go here briefly beforehand, so I'm not counting it as going to new territory. Up. I always find Arena Trap annoying. Weaker magnitude. I'm trying to remember if in the event that magnitude 10 was what was gotten, would it still have the accuracy requirement Fisher has? Yeah, that's the term I was looking for. Or would it have the same aim effect as or would it not require the additional boosts to That was definitely worth that battle. I'm keeping Rosetta in for a little bit longer simply because as well, first of all, it is one of my strongest Pokemon at the moment, but also because, well, I don't really have a good counter to electric or steel types at the moment. In case you're curious, no, Togepi or other Togetic does not learn Aerial Ace by leveling up. Rather, I found on the M4 Aerial Ace, it was a bike race, which I one-handedly. And I'll be able to switch out Togetic for something else. What I should switch it out for, I'm not sure. In hindsight, I should have removed the XP share from Togetic before this battle, but oh well. It looks like some pastry of some sort. Yeah, I was right about there being a Pokemon Center. This is the Porygon I got. I also got the old Amber. good news is that I do not need to waste a move slot on an HM. Let's see what we can get over here first. I mean, I have been looking for a good electric type, and who knows? Oh, I can get into the power plant from here. Trying to figure out if that purple thing is a key item or not. There was a quest about catching a certain number of Voltorb. Got to take the XP share off. I actually want that to not be very effective, since this lets me catch it for the quest. I should probably get some more great balls. How many do I want to put in the lighthouse is the question. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Just wanted to confirm. Good news is that thanks to teleport, I can just go back to Cerulean and then come back. Oh, hey. I was able to find a way to get to the power plant before Surf, which I thought you kind of needed to get there. But anyways, I'm just etching some Voltorbs. Hey, we got the TM for Charge Beam. This right here only exists to tempt us. Was the fifth or sixth badge we need for Surf? Wait, it was the fifth, yeah. Honestly, of all the changes that they've made, that in my opinion, and if I could like do some cosmic retcon and introduce to the previous games, I'd make it so that you can use TMs as many times as you like, because it was really annoying having to decide, do I want to use a TM I only know I can get one copy of in the game? Aim on this Pokemon or on another one? Like, it wasn't bad. Like, if they had just even if they just like let us purchase some of them after finding them, I would have actually been happy. One change I do wish that they had in this game, though, was the Pokemon centers and the Pokemarts being the same building, because that would have actually been really convenient, but might as well heal up while I'm here. Almost forgot where it was. I do have to wonder, has anyone completed the Pokedex for this game? Because it goes into like the 5 figures at least. That is one angry piece of candy. I'm going to guess that I can't get very far because of that gate. Seen that move before. I'll be able to take a look at it in the PC. Honestly, wish they'd have separate Yeah, just as I thought. Hey, I wasn't sure if that was supposed to be like, do I want to capture? You know what, let's capture. Okay, let's maybe not. Yeah, this was actually also present in Ruby and Sapphire, like, in the hideout of whatever team you were playing, and also in yeah, as I was saying, like, in the hideout of whatever team you were up against in Ruby and Sapphire, and or the Aqua hideout in Emerald, well, they have like a few things that were disguised as Master Ball. They'd have a few electrodes next to a Master Ball and some other item. I think it was like a nugget. And like, a lot of trainers fell for that. Oh, hey, repel. I believe this will be our 6th one, so once I capture this, I'll... Well, I'm not getting the notification from YouTube. Oop, that my internet connection is lackluster, so I'm going to assume that that got fixed. You guys are still getting a signal, right? I mean, you wouldn't be responding. And Scuff strikes again. I'm trying to figure out if I need to have all the Voltorb I need for that one quest in my party, or if he'll let me. No, wait, you're the wrong guy. You know, this reminds me of when I played through Heart Gold. And I was in the lighthouse at Olivine City. I actually got stuck because I could not realize that one area you were supposed to go was like hidden in a wall. It wasn't until when I did realize what it was. Because I felt kind of an idiot. I'm not sure what I get for placing all of them down. It's a good thing that I don't. Okay, so I did not need all 6 of them. And it looks like there is a limit. That's a power-up for Pikachu, not a Pokeball. Ooh, TM. I wonder what I'll get. Can't get anything from that guy. Although I did get something really useful from him from the other time. I did not need to teach a Pokemon Flash. What do I get in place of the TM for... In place of the HM, I mean. HM do I gain the ability to use from Celadons? Is the question. So I was talking about going corporate in the Discord, and something really funny happened. I checked that account that was posting VTuber editions, and almost as if kind of spite me, I guess, Niji Sanji was having editions for her new talents, which I find a bit odd since they're not exactly in the best of shape right now. Honestly, I'd say the problem is with their management, not their talent. And I couldn't apply for that position since I have no experience in that field. G Gundam reference right there. Also present in the original games, if I'm not mistaken. At least Fire Red and Leaf Green. Trying to figure out if it was there in the original Red and Blue. Fun fact, there was actually a reference to the Dark Knight before it actually came out. In Ruby and Sapphire, or there in that manor that had all the mazes. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised they They don't just... That's what... I'd actually be curious, like, have they ever considered, like, having someone who is a VTuber who has, like, a split personality as an excuse to have more than one person take on the talent, on the role? That would be an interesting gimmick for a VTuber. Admittedly, you would have to come up with some justification for why they sound different if they had different voices. Oh, look, it's the King of Town. I don't know if I'm talking about Phoenix God. Finally, a move I actually want Eevee to learn. Actually, I was able to think of one idea they could get around on the different voices. They could have it like be an android who has multiple programs. Or something. Like, each program could have a different focus. Like, one could focus on FPSs, another could focus on RPGs, another could focus on strategy games. Admittedly, I can think of a different problem, namely how you would sign that, and also payment. I mean, I guess like with payment, you could base it on who does the streaming thing when. Like, if like a pair of twins or something wanted to do that, I could see that working. Like, one idea I actually had for a V2 persona that I realized probably wouldn't work because of, like, well, the logistics that you would need was, like, someone who was basically, like, brought from, like, the silent age of film to the modern day. Like, you know how, like back then, instead of having people just, like, speak, they would, like, have the dialogue pop up after, or the character was done speaking, you know, on like a card or something. I was thinking of doing that, but then I realized that would be a bit too hard. Or like everything else I could see easily doing. So but the problem was like getting it to line up quickly. I then thought, okay, maybe I can rework this so it's more like one of the talkies, you know, like the earliest films, like back when everyone had the transatlantic accent, which, fun fact, is not an actual accent. It was basically made by combining British and American accents. And it just fell out of favor. Kind of odd to think that it just stopped being a thing. Like, I don't even think that, like, throwback movies use that accent anymore. And we have a then I thought, well, maybe if I go with something more modern, and that's how I came up with my current concept. There is, like, one joke idea that I've floated around for, like, a future April Fool's. Basically, it would be a PNG avatar, except instead of using a current one, I'd just take like, a carton of eggs and have it open and close. Barely glue sore is high. I mean, the silent film concept would actually work if I was, like, to stick with, like, pre-recorded video. That's a tiny bit on the cursed side. Not as cursed as Cubone in Kazakhstan. I guess can. I always confuse that Pokemon with the country Borat is from. But like, it can't really work for a live setting. Like that could be like someone uses for like a VTuber or who like fills in information and answers questions other VTubers have. Like, I've seen a few people make shorts dedicated to doing that, like Rin Penrose comes to mind, but I've never actually seen someone make that their whole gimmick. And the funny thing is, I'd argue that you're going to need to have people who actually have specialties that differentiate themselves sooner rather than later. Like, I actually do have a specialty in mind. Namely, as you may know, I actually have a degree in geography, so, like, if anyone wants to, like, ask me any questions about maps and whatnot, I'd be happy to answer them to my ability. I wonder if we'll see someone who's actually an actual VTuber politician, and I don't just mean like a VTuber who later becomes a politician. I mean they run as their identity, because I am fully expecting, even just as a joke campaign, someone to do that in like my lifetime, as long as like VTubing sticks around. I mean, there are obviously VTubers who like are in charge of fictional countries, but not real ones. You know, there actually is one way that someone would, in fact, like become a VTuber in charge of an actual country. Like, there is like a small section of land in between Sudan and Egypt. The Berta will try angle, and the thing is, neither side claims it, because if they did, they would have to give up aim on something that they did anything else they wanted. It has no real infrastructure for sort, so like obviously someone like me couldn't do anything with it, but like there's got to be like some like trust fund kid or something out there who might be interested. Of course, there is a very different problem in that area, namely Egypt has a new capital city that they're building, and well, long story short, that capital city is pretty much the cause of a war waiting to happen, since it will take up so much water that the Ethiopians who are landlocked, if you're not aware, will pretty much suffer a drought the second that the entire city decides to take a shower. The only options I could really see Egypt do to kind of offer or as compensation would either be conquer Eritrea, which, well, the international community would not look kindly upon that, or the solution I would go with, build a giant water desalination plant, which is the process of turning seawater into drinkable water. It's used in like Israel and Sudan and Saudi Arabia. I almost confuse. Sudan. But yeah, in general, dictators have this fascination with building large things. Even if the usage of those things are questionable at best. Like Romania actually has the distinction of having the heaviest building, one of the heaviest, if not the heaviest buildings in the world. And mind you, heaviest does not mean largest. Would be like if you actually ripped it all out of the ground and like weighed it. I'm not sure or how it compares to, say, the Great Wall of China or the pyramids in Egypt. I definitely could see the pyramids being lighter, and maybe it has to do with the fact that not all of the Great Wall is intact. Like, maybe if the Great Wall was, like, complete, it would be heavier, but still, like, incidentally, the US actually does have a very heavy building, but we actually have built ours for practical uses. It's the rocket assembly building, I believe. Vehicle assembly building. I think that's the name. And largest, it's also, that actually does happen to have a distinction of its own. It's the largest single-story building. I actually got curious to see if there are any other notable streamers in my city. Since, well, there aren't like any names that come to mind, given how large we are, it would be very surprising if there wasn't, and I've come across 3 so far. The first is this VTuber who I think speaks English, but its channel is in Japanese. If I can like find some way to communicate with him, it might be up for a collab. The second is Xander Hall, political streamer who is not from here but did move to Seattle recently. Hypothetically, I could actually run into him in person. And then, like, if I get the chance, I might, like, ask for a collab, but we would, like, try and keep things as minimally, and keep politics to as little of a level as possible, and, of course, that's assuming he'd accept, which I would be not surprised if he chooses not to. And the third is Darkside Phil. I would only accept a stream with him if I was like competing with him in a game of my choice. But I'm not going to go out of my way to ask him for a collab anytime soon. Yeah, like, the funny thing about Phil is there was actually at least one playthrough I think he was genuinely good at. Like, it was one of the SNES Final Fantasy games, but in that case, like, he was really passionate about the project in general. Like, it was something he wanted to play. The problem is that, more often than not, it feels that when he does want to play something, it's something that no one actually wants him to touch. Like, I'd be willing to bet that if there was, like, some obscure game he was a big fan of that he actually started to play, no one would make a "this is how you don't play" about it. Like, if there was, like, some, I don't know, DOS or NES game that doesn't really have any videos that he said, "hey, this is actually one of my favorite games," you probably wouldn't have anyone making a "this is how you don't play," if only because no one knows how you would play. Huh, I didn't know you could do that. I forgot I was battling a Pokemon. Well, that is a useful feature. I probably should equip one of my Pokemon with the amulet coin. Okay, that's Poison Fairy. Pokemon looks like it's in pain. You know, one thing I've seen a lot of people discuss that I actually do not think will happen at all is the hypothetical invasion. Is the invasion of Taiwan that the PRC seems to be building up for, and if to any, and I'm doing this to essentially kill any chances of Kichisanji approaching me. But I say that not because I think that the People's Liberation Army, that's the official name of the Chinese Armed Forces, is weak, but rather because a fusion like that, I mean, an invasion like that is actually really hard to pull off. First of all, it's a naval invasion, not a land invasion. So and let's hypothetically say that the UK, France, the US, Australia, New Zealand, Japan, let's throw in Vietnam, and India, just for good measure. I'll let governments decide, you know what, Taiwan, you're on your own. We will not fight the PRC. The thing is, Taiwan has been preparing, like, I'm not sure how they would compare to, say, Finland, but they are well aware that something like this is an inevitability. And the thing is, the island of Formosa, that's the main island people think of when they refer to Taiwan. There's actually more than one island. Is very hard to invade. Like, the majority of the island is either rocky cliffs and a few beaches. But the thing about those beaches, Taiwan is well aware that those are the prime targets, so they've likely made defensive plans with that in mind. And the majority of the population is on the western side, which is where the island will come from. And the thing is, because Taiwan has mandatory conscription, everyone on the island and at least men, I'm not sure or if they allow women to serve, that can use a gun knows how to. So in other words, and let's hypothetically say that the PRC does manage to get a foothold on one of the beaches. Once you get inland, Taiwan, Formosa is essentially a fusion of Switzerland and Afghanistan. Like, let me give you an idea of just how hard an invasion would be. During World War II, Formosa was the original target of an invasion as part of the U.S.'s island hopping strategy. It was decided that at Iwo Jima, which, keep in mind, had one of the bloodiest battles in the Pacific, was actually easier to take than Formosa. Like, the Japanese probably would have actually won on that particular battle if the U.S. had decided to invade Formosa. So I'm gonna say, if anything, it's far more likely that the PRC is hoping that Taiwan eventually caves, but that looks like the California Raisin Man. But yeah, the thing is, even even if the PRC gets a foothold, God, it's annoying having to reactivate the lantern every time I exit a battle. Well, the PRC would have to deal with not just with both urban combat and dense and mountainous areas, two areas which are very hard to fight in, and in fact, urban warfare is what's holding up the Russians in several areas in Ukraine right now. Like, it's the reason why the Battle of Stalingrad was not an immediate rout for the Soviets. I believe I forfeited to you, but Now, I'm not saying they won't try and launch the invasion, I'm just saying if they do, it would be a disaster. The only way I could actually see them, like, succeeding would be if they had the ability to, like, instantly teleport soldiers onto the island, which I can safely say they don't, because if they did, they would not be doing the big military buildup. They would just be doing, like, they just go, oh hey, we're invading, and all of a sudden a bunch of armed PLA soldiers would just materialize on Taiwan, which would arguably be the fastest war or in history. Like, it would actually, there actually is a war that is, okay, I'm curious to see what this is. There actually is a war that lasted less than an hour. It was between the British Empire and the Sultanate of Zanzibar, which is part of what is now Tanzania. But still, honestly, part of me wishes that Putin had gotten drunk when he decided to invade Ukraine, and instead had made the mistake of invading Finland, because the thing is, Finland is, if Taiwan is prepared, is the person who thinks ahead of everything, and Finland is the doomsday prepper who has literally every scenario planned out down to every single footstep they will take. Like, they have enough of stockpiled of every medicine in a bunker. Or, as well as very decked out bunkers with like, entertainment facilities and whatnot, malls and such. All for the sake of resisting a Russian invasion. Like, the only way I could... And, like, they're well aware of the possibility. And the funny thing is that... Because Russia has basically made it so that they're now joining NATO, nukes are off the table for Russia. That would be the one thing I would have said and Russia could maybe have done to like take out Finland, but even if like Finland's bid to join NATO doesn't pan out, the UK has actually said we'll defend them, and that puts nukes off the table. Well, since, as you're probably aware, the UK has nukes as well. Oh, like, that's actually another thing I think a lot of people were mistaken in, namely the belief that having nukes gives you the ability to basically just dictate what other countries can do. I would argue that was only true for the brief window of opportunity the US had as the sole nuclear power. Because the second the Soviets got nukes, it stopped becoming, hey, we either have to do what the US says or risk nuclear annihilation. It's, which of these two superpowers fits closer to our ideals? Or can we get nukes of our own so we don't have to rely on them? Like, hypothetically speaking, if North Korea was to decide, you know what, you guys all suck, we're going our own way, and even divide Russia and China somewhat, there could be, like, I don't know, Eritrea deciding that they want to side with North Korea, but that I would say everyone would just laugh at because, well, it would be questionable if North Korea could even deliver, since they've been essentially all talk but no actual action. But you know, the funny thing about North Korea is, I'd actually argue that if the US was able to get China on board, now would actually be a pretty good time for removing the communist government, because the thing is, Xi Jinping does not get along well with Kim Jong-il. Like, I'd be willing to bet that if the U.S. met privately with Z and said, look, we will keep all of our forces, as well as the forces of the country, he's friendly towards us off of the northern part of Korea, and the only people there will be Korean soldiers if you help us take out the Kims and maybe offer them some other concessions. There is a less than 0% chance that Z would actually accept. Of course, you would need to figure out a way to do that without actually triggering a nuclear response from North Korea, since I would say that of all the countries that are most likely that could launch a nuke unprovoked, North Korea is the most likely. Like, the US and UK both have a "we will only respond in kind" policy. France does allow for a first strike, but they would need to be attacked first. Russia has a similar position. I'm not sure what the Israeli position is, since if they said since their whole gimmick is ambiguity, like they do not officially have nukes. I'm pretty sure Pakistan and in India have a only use in kind policy. There is one wild card that is not what you think. It's not Iran, although it is in that region. The one country that, if I had to guess, has nukes, or at least the capacity to gain nuclear weapons in a short time, is actually Saudi Arabia, and not for the reason you're thinking. There is actually a rumor that they funded Pakistan's nuclear weapons program in return for warheads on delivery at some point in the future. Now, admittedly, warheads are useless if you don't really have a way to deliver them, unless you want to just use a giant satchel charge, but still, if they wanted to, they could adopt it, but they don't really have any reason unless Iran's nuclear program actually pans out. That looks like an Akira Toriyama drawn oddish. It's actually kind of interesting to think of who actually came close to acquiring nuclear weapons. Yeah, money is a big deal, but like Switzerland and Sweden actually seriously considered acquiring nukes during the Cold War. Switzerland abandoned the project pretty quickly, but the Swedish program actually got pretty far. It was only because they decided, you know what, this plane looks pretty cool. I forget what the exact model was. It's probably not even in service, given how long ago this would have been. Let me actually look it up. Press the TV to press the nuclear cloud. The Saab 37 Viggen. Yeah, it's retired. Although it does have a very... Oh, it really lasted quite a while. Over 40 years of service. Impressive, actually. Yeah, in case you're curious, yes, Saab is the same company that makes cars. or it was. It used to be the same, both of them used to be the same AIM company, but, well, then General Motors took over the car company. You know, funny story about fighter names. As you probably know, NATO has this unique way of distinguishing distinguishing stuff from countries that are non-members. And in the case of the Soviet Union and later Russia, the way they distinguished the fighter jets would be by giving them F words. For example, the MiG-25 was the Foxbat. Which was actually a lot more, which was actually an example of something I would call overhyped, because the thing is, when someone actually wound up defecting, it was inspected and realized, wait, these stats are nowhere near as strong as we thought they were. Since for one thing, what they did was basically strap a fighter onto a cruise missile. Onto, like, I'm trying to remember if it was like a cruise missile or like, I think it was a cruise missile, but anyways, it was something that was made more to scare people, because the thing is, the USS was making in a supersonic a bomber that could have gone on Mach 3 called the Valkyrie. It would have been the B-70, as you can probably tell by the way I phrased that. The Valkyrie never actually entered service. It was a very interesting plane. Unfortunately, because of an accident that happened while they were flying it, they canceled the project. Although, fun fact, there actually is a surviving one that you can actually visit it at the National Museum of the Air Force near Dayton, Ohio. I might go there if I ever find myself in Ohio one day. And fun fact about supersonic aircraft, you may be aware of the Challenger, but the Concorde, not the Challenger, but did you know there was actually an American equivalent to the Concorde? It was the Boeing 2707. The reason it didn't really enter service was because, well, cost. Like, the thing is, the Concorde program never actually made a profit. And fun fact about the Concorde, I've actually been on one in person. Not in use, unfortunately. I would actually be very curious to see how I'd fare at even just, like, Mach 1, but it was like a decommissioned one. There's also one by Lockheed. There's actually a proposal to bring it back. As you can probably guess, the reason in why supersonic travel fell out of style was because of, well, the noise. Although I always found it odd that they didn't at least, like, keep it or like traveling across the Atlantic or the Pacific. Like, I get not using it on the mainland United States or above Europe, but I see no reason why you couldn't use it for a flight from, let's say, Seattle to Honolulu or Los Angeles to Sydney. But I actually just found out that there's actually a proposal, a startup that's actually trying to bring supersonic travel back. Boom Overture. Maybe I'll get to fly on one of their planes one day. United and American are actually buying planes from them, so If oh, it's a possibility, but I should probably get back to the game. But there's actually one, unlike Bomber, or idea that was even more outlandish than the idea of a supersonic one, since that actually did make it to the actual testing phase, but as you're probably aware, it didn't really go anywhere. And as you might be able to figure out, this was a Nazi idea. It was essentially take the space shuttle program and turn that into a bomber. And you have the... oh, I forget the name. Silver Volkel. I hope I probably butchered that, so I will just post the spelling in the chat. Yeah, that. Like, the difference is that it would have essentially relied on a very long, on launch pads similar to the type you see on aircraft carriers. It never really got anywhere. Like, not even till it wasn't even infeasible. Like, that's enough. Like, there's also one other bomber of note, but this one actually did get to, like, the test stage, but it never would have worked as planned. It was the Horton, and supposedly it was a stealth bomber, but there's... and a bunch of... and if you encounter a Werebo, you know, an apologist for, like, the Nazi... they will claim, oh, this was actually the first stealth, the inspiration for the B2 Spirit. But they are lying for two reasons. First of all, the Smithsonian actually did some tests, and they found that it did not have nearly the stealth capacity that would have justified it being a stealth bomber. And in fact, that would more than likely not was just something made to sell it to anyone who was interested, since the makers of the plane escaped persecution. But the second reason is that, if you're not familiar with the B-2, it's manufactured by a company called Northrop Grumman. And and before you ask, yes, as at least one of those names does come from an actual person, Jack Northrop, who, during World War II, before it became apparent that the British Isles would not fall, came up with a very interesting bomber design, which was essentially a flying wing with backwards propellers. And if you look at his design, no, not the Stratojet. The YB-49, that's the plane. Look at that, and then look at the B-2, and you can see that there's a clear comparison. In fact, Northrop actually managed to live long enough that he got to actually see the mock-up of the B-2 in person. Supposedly, he said, "I know why God has kept me alive for this long," as he did end up passing away shortly after he saw it. But still, it's pretty inspirational to think that not only did it his original plan end for the YB49, which did not really go anywhere. I mean, it did, like, actually get built, but it did not, like, actually get adopted. But still, it is inspirational to know that no matter how, that his work did end up getting used. And the B2 is still in use, although it is being replaced with something developed from it as well. If I'm not mistaken, I will be getting to the route Vulpix is found on soon, so hey. Hey, fire type. I've always wondered what the game uses to determine, like, the pre-battle flash. I mean, like, I know that there's that one that there's that flash you can find. Oh yeah, I just remember there's that guy in Vermilion. That was a waste of speech. Thought I'd actually get something. What do we have in here? I mean, if he has a unique house, he must be doing pretty well for himself. Vulpix is catchable on this route. I'm guessing it's one of the rarer encounters because, well, I actually did some research, and I confirmed you can actually buy the other stones aside from the ones in the Gen 1 games at the Celadon Mall. Whether or not I'll be able to buy them currently is a different question, since it only said that you could buy them based on how many badges you had. I think I figured out how the genders work for fusions. Namely, if you fuse it yourself, it'll do something. I'm not sure, or if it's like if it like combines the two, or if it takes the one at the base. Hot air balloon Pokemon. But if you catch it in the wild or get it in a trade and it was like generated by the computer, you do not get to find out what gender it is. Would be cool if they like added some way you could find out the gender though, like I believe there is an item that actually lets you change a Pokemon's gender in this game. No, really, which I'm guessing is stuff like Gallade or something. Like if you have like a female Corellia and you want a Gallade. Blind snake. And there's the fire type I want to get. Close call. One feature I actually kind of wish they would add would be the ability to let you switch out a Pokeball. Like, there are some, or is all aesthetically, like, I'd say that with the exception of the Master Ball, since it's like that would kind of make it broken. And if they did do that, forget what I was talking about. Oh well. Oh yeah, that right. With the exception of the Master Ball, since like that would technically mean you'd have an unlimited number, and while there are games where you actually can acquire more than one, usually it's luck-based. I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to switch, or say, a Pokemon caught using a Quick Ball. A Quick Ball Pokemon is stored in after a Premier Ball. Like, even if it was just a service that I needed to actually pay a fee that varied for, I'd gladly accept that offer. Should have used teleport. Oops, I forgot to heal it up. Oh well. It's like a Minecraft fish. I'm trying to remember if I encountered... I'm pretty sure that the... Oh well, at least I visited... at Lavender Town's Pokemon Center beforehand. It would have sucked if I had to go through Rock Tunnel again. Wait, Eevee? Oh, you evolve it into... You use the Moonstone. Oh, they actually got rid of most of the friendship evolutions. Like... This feels really weird. Like, I get rid of getting rid of trades, but... I actually think that I'm of the proper level for this time. And hey, I actually have something that can take out his starter in the form of my Look at you. It would actually be kind of funny if they if my rival's Raticade was kept. If only because it would... would be pretty satisfying seeing this game say, no, you did not kill Raticade. Feels up. Okay, they also got rid of how you normally evolve Sylveon, but that makes sense. What? No fusion for Gyarados? So close. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out where, if I can figure out where the ice stone. Keep your Pokemon Tequila here. Pretty sure that's a why not egg. I'm gonna catch one of these for the sake of that quest. And Ralph is fine. See when you get back. That reminds me of the Hypno. We are keeping Will-O-Wisp for the long. You did miss one thing while you were gone. I finally got my hands on one of the best electric types. I also found that there is a reliable list of Pokeradar Pokemon. And also, Kira TV, who I mentioned on the Discord before, just came out with a video on why everyone hates Sneeko, and he's not the first. Well, it's not even the longest. Like, but he does normally come out with good stuff. The only question I have about Luxio is, what should I fuse it with? Let's bring up the generator. But yeah, on the topic of Sneeko, like, I've watched a bunch of other creators, and one of them actually brought up, by the name of Bruce Dropamoff, actually brought up an interesting point. Namely, I'm starting to wonder, is Sneeko, like, on coke or something? Because that would explain in his actions. Admittedly, I don't see the trademark, like, white powder around. Ooh. Luxray and Mew actually looks pretty sweet. I mean, I'm not going to be able to get Mew for a while, but... Ooh, Luxray and Shijinja. I would go for if it didn't overlap the plan I have. Let's see if there's a good electric psychic type. Electric flying. Luxray and Mamoswine looks pretty cool. Yeah, now I want to see Punka Lofi debate it's Sneeko simply because it would be a battle of someone who's able to perfectly act like they're coke against someone who's actually on coke. Although I would have honestly guessed Sneeko was on meth instead of coke if you would have asked me. But still, it is very likely he's on some form of substance. Probably not crack, though. Since that's, like, generally a poor person's drug, and, well, something tells me Sneeko wants to at least give the appearance he's living the high life. Maybe Staraptor isn't in this game. That would be fun. Ooh. If only I didn't choose Black Squirtle, I'd go with Lantern, Luxray, and a heartbeat. Noctowl and Luxray looks like a griffin of sorts. Luxray fused with itself looks pretty terrifying, but not what I'm looking for. Vulpix. But for real, the feud between Sneeko Oh, and critical is, like, probably one of the most ill-advised ideas. Like, I actually can think of one person Nico could have made an even worse decision to attack, a Joseph Buckley, but in that case, there wouldn't have been a response video, it would have just been a tweet, it just going, ha 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 ha, with several replies, because, honestly, that would be the appropriate destruction. I mean, say what you will about Aiden Ross, but at least, like, when he does something stupid, he strikes me as being very sober. Well, okay, he does smoke, but tobacco doesn't really cloud your judgment while you're under its effects like other drugs do. Maybe he does drink, but like, there isn't anything, like, abnormal. Like, I do think he'd pass a drug test. Unless he's really into, like, eating poppy seed muffins. I've always wondered why they don't give, like, an exemption for that. I mean, oh, it was actually a plot point on Seinfeld. I've never really liked lemon poppy seed. Almond poppy seed is really good, though. But, like, Aiden Ross might be more sober than Sneeko, but he more than and makes up for it. Not the appropriate word, but you get the phrase, but you get what I'm saying, because of how stupid he is. Like, he was in a debate with Destiny. Like, there's just too much I could mention, but, like, I'm willing to bet that you could convince him that the ocean is actually red if you tried. Like, the thing is, I feel that if you ask a person what color is the ocean, like, they'll give you one of two answers, blue or green, depending on, like what you're looking at, and either is perfectly valid, but aside from some really specific cases, most people probably won't go red. Like, keep in mind, Aiden Ross is the same person who unironically believes that Hitler thought that OnlyFans would be the second Holocaust, in spite of the fact that, you know, Hitler died almost 40 years before the invention of the internet, and what year was OnlyFans? And what year? 2016. OnlyFans has actually been around longer than I would have guessed, but like 70 to 80 years before OnlyFans existed as a company. I kind of wonder if there's like a third Andrew Tate orbiter to like round out the trio. I mean, if there is, you don't hear about him. It's kind of like how you hear about Stalin and Trotsky, but never for Nikolai Bukharin. Either way, if there's one positive, it looks like there aren't any vTuber fans who at least unironically have become Andrew Tate fans. Like, the only one I'd say that routinely like posts about and makes content that includes Andrew Tate is, well, Fillion, but even then, that is extremely ironic, since, as you probably know, Fillion is, you know, a girl or a woman. I'm not really sure how old Fillion actually is. On one hand, I would be very surprised, and I could see her being in her 20s, but on the other hand, her content does kind of have that teen energy. doesn't exactly help that she is a model looking on the younger side of things. You know, that's something funny. Like, every time I see someone complain about VTubers who have, like, a lolly body, I find myself looking, like, why the hell are you complaining? Like, physique aside, they're not lewd. Like, when I think of VTubers with models that look on the younger side, the only ones that really come to mind when I think of lewd are the femboy VTubers. Yes, I have watched a few. Just to see what... Ooh, I don't watch them routinely. They do show up on, like, clip channels and whatnot. But, like, I've never seen them on the receiving end of cancellation from the antis. Like, it would be harder to make the argument that they're not being that they're not sexualizing themselves. Well, if the antis went after, say, Taiga, then Rune Banera. I probably botched that last name. You know what I would do if I was Rune? I would immediately commission in, like, a model of an older woman, like a MILF, and then just gaslight all the antis by coming on without a debut saying, "What are you talking about? I've always had this model." So they all look really stupid. It would be hilarious. Like, if I knew how, I would gladly be set up and then do that. Like... Oh, I think this is one of those... No, there was... Okay. How do you get that unique sprite? You know, one thing I have been thinking about when I make my VTuber debut is, do I want to go with something original, or do I want to go with an homage to one of the openings to the Bond movies? Like, yeah, it would be funny, like, or like, if they went after, or like one of those aforementioned femboy VTubers, have them just like debut like a really ultra masculine one, like 80s Schwarzenegger style model. Just for like a few streams, once the antis realize there's no way we can win, go back to the old one. Like, honestly, if I had a Twitter account, I would actually go send that to a message. It's to one of the lolly VTubers right now, just as a joke. But as I was saying, like, one thing I've been trying to figure out for when I actually make my proper debut is, as you probably know, they have, like, an animation. It is certainly a bit, probably some of the riskier stuff you would get without actually going for straight-up adult content. But as I was saying, the hard part is figuring out figuring out which Bond movie would make the most exciting tribute. Like, Skyfall would probably be the one that I could come up with the most creative scenario for. Or since, like, but the problem is then that I would want to use that for when I'm, like, replacing my model, since if you haven't seen Skyfall, and I don't really consider this a spoiler because, like, it happens before or the title sequence. The movie actually begins with Bond getting shot by a sniper, or and like falling into a river, and he's presumed dead. And like, that doesn't work. I don't think Dr. No had like a pre-title sequence, so obviously I couldn't pay an homage to it. Ooh, Casino Royale would actually be a really cool idea. I might do Casino Royale if I can't think of anything else. If I was debuting alongside another VTuber, like, or at an agency, I could actually... GoldenEye could be a good idea. Like, you know, where, like, 006 is presumed dead at FB events. So far, Casino Royale and GoldenEye are the two top runners. Although GoldenEye is the conditional one. I'm not going to touch any of the unofficial Bond films, so the David Niven in the Casino Royale from the 50s. He's Never Say Never Again, and trying to think, and I think there might have been a third one. Oh, there were only two. So I'm not touching either Casino Royale or the 60s, not 50s version. Or Never Say Never Again. I mean, like, if someone wanted to use those to do a skit with it, if I could use them as like a skit, but I'm not going to use them as like official content. I might actually just do like a watch of all the... I would watch it all. Ooh, License to Kill might also work. If I wanted to go for a more... Although it would be best if I used like a mixed gender, if I was at like a mixed gender agency, since if you don't know, that movie opens up with a wedding. And it doesn't exactly... And things do... GoldenEye, Casino Royale, or License to Kill. Maybe I should see if there's which one of the if there's a Roger Moore movie that has a good opening for that. And I might as well also throw in Connery, since... Hey, completionist. I should just do... That was a close one. Like, honestly, the one thing I'm gonna actually use as a skit when someone asks, what do you have that Bond doesn't? And I'll just say, the ability to have monster girls as my girl of the week. Obviously, I should probably do a few collabs with some of them, but still, that's gonna be fun. One other thing I've decided on, Well, we'll go in my main character's sidearm of choice. As you probably know, Bond is famous for using his Walther PPK. I think he got it replaced in Tomorrow Never Dies. Ah, ooh. The PPK. Hey, that's the one Bond uses, but it's rather out of date. And it was replaced in Tomorrow Never Dies with the PP99. If I was to choose something, there are three weapons I've been considering that would be appropriate for my character in lore. The first is the CZ75, a Czech gun. Yeah, they do still make them. It's a very iconic Czech gun, and I've actually heard it's a very good pistol. The second is something somewhat more recent, the FN57, Belgian weapon, if you can't figure it out. But a third one is probably from a country you might not immediately think of. Pistols. Didn't know if my mom was telling me to be quiet or not. Well, the VIS-100. It's a Polish gun, and it's also available as the Ooh, I actually found a list of firearms. Huh. In the book, Bond actually uses the Beretta 4 or 18 for a good amount of the books. Wow, there's actually quite a bit of... Hey, fun fact, Anthony Horowitz actually... They're still writing Bond books, and Anthony Horowitz, who wrote quite a few... who wrote the whole Alex Rider series, as well as two other ones I forget the exact name of, is actually the current writer. He actually published a book last year. I actually remember liking Alex Rider a lot. I should check out his work. There's actually quite a few new guns Bond has used. Ooh, he actually has used the CZ58. Let's see what that looks like. It does look very similar to the AK-47. Oh, Bond has actually used an AK-74. Not a lot of American guns find their way into Bond's hands. Ah, the most recent... No Time to Die actually has him use a Browning High Power Mark III. He's also used a Glock in Spectre. And in Skyfall. Fun fact about the Glock. The weapon, the Glock 7 There actually is a Glock 1 through a Glock 16, but they are not guns. In fact, the Glock 17 gets its name from the patent number. And in fact, fact, the Glock 17 was actually Gaston Glock. That's the guy's name. Yeah, it's another one of those cases where a weapons manufacturer got their name from the founder of the company. He had literally never designed a weapon before, or he heard about the contest and got the hold of the specs and said, let's go for this. What's the worst that can happen? He won handedly. And keep in mind, Austria has a few, isn't like some country with no arms manufacturers. They have like Steyr, and they're obviously right next door on the border with Germany and Italy, so there's also Heckler and Koch and Beretta. And everyone was kind of surprised to see Austria hand such a big order of pistols to someone who no one knew about, and obviously a lot of people took notice. Die Hard does actually feature the weapon, but if you didn't know, there is no Glock 3 pistol. I'm not sure what the actual Glock 3 is. I got most of this information from Mike Burnfire and their gun rants. Anyways, now that I've actually got in Luxio, let's finish the night by taking out my rival and getting my hands on that Mistrevi, so I can fuse it with Vulpix. Yeah, as I mentioned the other night, I dislike the theory that our rival was being the Raticate here. As you can see, since he asked, what were we doing here? Like, if anything, it seems like it would make more sense for us to be burying a Pokemon. And as I mentioned, Raticate is not a Pokemon that's really viable in the long run. Oh, and if you didn't know, notice I renamed my rival after the villain from GoldenEye. You know, I do have to wonder who the next Bond actor will be since Craig's done with the role. I actually could see them putting a non-white actor, provided that they do two things. First, obviously get someone talented, like if they get someone who's won a Razzie, there is no way anyone will take the film seriously. Even though, the first movie every Bond actor is usually good. The second is have him be from a country that used to be a British colony. It could be Nigeria. Maybe not Egypt, since people usually don't think of that when... and they think of former British colonies. Sudan works. Yeah, that's a former British colony. I think the one minority, though, that should never be Bond is that I don't think there should ever be a gay Bond, simply because, well, it would kind of defeat the whole point of Bond girl. Like, bisexual, okay, maybe, if you think you can really pull it off, but I don't think there should be a Bond guy instead of a Bond girl. Like, if you want to have a Bond that doesn't have any have a romantic partner in the films, that's perfectly fine. But I honestly think they should, like, actually go with a Bond actor who's like from somewhere that's a former colony. Even like, they could also go with Ireland, since that was occupied by the UK for so long. And if you really wanted to stretch things, they could actually have a German Bond, since, fun fact, the Kingdom of Hanover actually used to be ruled by the House of Windsor. They actually used to have a very different name. Let me look it up, since it is kind of a mouthful. The House of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. It changed because of World War I. That's an interesting thing, what if? Like, what if the British had been the ones to unify Germany instead of the Prussians? Like, you hear, there's plenty of people wondering, what if Austria had unified Germany instead of Prussia, which was the state that got rid of it. And there's also some that ask, what if Bavaria had been the one to unify Germany? But I've never heard anyone come up with a story where the UK unify. Eyes of Germany. That would be an interesting idea. Like, I might actually just write a letter to Harry Turtledove suggesting the idea. Or some other alternate history author. So much for that plan. Well, that at least does explain how how we won't like cheese psychic types. I'm thinking I will head to Celadon, end the stream, and then do some like off-screen grinding, including that the one thing I'd have to turn off the screen for anyway. As usual, I will post about it in the community tab. I guess the real question is, who should the next artist to perform the song be? You know, funny story about that. I actually think that if Billie Eilish was like a few years older, they might have actually tried to make her the Bond girl. That would certainly be an interesting case where like the singer is also the Bond girl. Well, I know that it's kind of, it's actually kind of similar to, like, Kamen Rider, since it's not uncommon for, like the singer of like, one of the insert songs or the opening to also play a role. And hey, we're here at Celadon. There's quite a lot to do in both this game and in general. Do they still have the old pervert in front of the gym is the question. Also, apparently there's a Pokemon... There is a Pokemon in one of the trash cans. There's the department store. You know, I might actually do like a bonus stream on Saturday if anyone would be up for it. Okay, it looks like I might not be able to find my... I forgot about speaking to that guy and... Oh yeah, this is where you get exchange the coins. If I... Would you count it as a gambling stream if I was... Ooh! Okay, it is definitely not this house. That is definitely a strange fusion. It was listed as a gift Pokemon on the wiki, so... Maybe I should ask the James Bond subreddit. Yeah, this is the guy. I'm not speaking to you. Ooh, what do we have up here? I think I will end the stream after I finish this quest. Does Eevee not real... Male Eevee. This will be the one I evolve into a Sylveon. Ooh, that was a good reward. If I knew how, I actually would. Oops. Well, one battle. More battle to end it. Well, this has been a fun stream. I'm Andreas Rebel, and I will see you next assignment.